Hi, this is just an update as to how development of the remote dump is going for the Mark IIi PV power router. This is the base station component, so we've got the Arduino, we've got one of Rich's PCBs, and on the right we've got a standard RFM12 radio unit. I've extended the aerial slightly. This has got a half wave aerial now, which seems to work a little bit better than the standard quarter wave. It's connected into the standard pins on an Arduino that are necessary, the interrupt and 3 or 4 other lines, as per the building blocks page 1 of the networking pages. Also in the setup I've got a CT which has got 2 coils around it from a 60-watt light bulb. The other wire is from my load, which is a space heater which is currently set to 750 watts, and on the other end we have the other half of the RF, which is essentially a pretty standard Emon TX, again with the half wave aerial, just plugged into a 5-volt USB supply. That's literally with its 2 wires going to one of the standard zero crossing triggers, and hence a triac, and that's putting power to the load here. At the moment there's nothing happening because I haven't got any PV being simulated. As soon as I put the press that plug in there, then the light will come on. Before I do that, I just want to show you what's going on the screen. So if I fire up the serial monitor, let's get a fresh start. Close that down, fire up the serial monitor, and what we'll get is the standard little display to show that this is intended to be revision 5 of my Mark IIi. Now what it's showing here is the RF transmissions. Every second, if nothing else is happening, there's a background refresh transmission sent. The first column is the state of the dump load. I'm in an active low logic, so 1 means that we're off. The next column is an identity, a message ID, so every message is 1 greater than the previous one. And on the right hand side we've got 0, and that shows the logical load that we're dealing with. This code can now support as many loads as you want. I've assigned load 0, physical load 0 as being the local load, physical load 1 as being the remote, but the logic for working out which load should take what, which one should be turned on and off, is done on a logical 0 to n basis, and because nothing's happening we're sitting at 0. So if I were to put some power on, now I've got 60 watts flowing twice through the CT, that's 120, so 120 watts, which should take 12 seconds or something like that. Now we're beginning to see something, so things are happening rather quickly now, and on the left you can see that the dump load is being commanded to go on and off quite rapidly. The numbers are rattling up on consecutive messages, and on the right hand side we've moved to 1, and that's because there isn't a physical we don't have a local load, I only have a remote load. So the remote load is active now because the logic has gone through the opportunity of giving the local load some opportunity to do something, but there isn't one there, so we're on the remote. And if we have a look at what's happening over on the fire, it should be flicking on and off, and in synchronism with that the far end is operating. Now this is operating quite quickly because this is in my normal mode, as in we've essentially got a midpoint single threshold, and when the energy level goes bigger than that, the triac goes on, and when it goes less than that, the triac goes off, just like the old Mark II was before we introduced anti-flicker. Now as per revision 4 of the Mark IIi code, I've got the switch in there, so if I operate the switch, which just goes between digital pin 4 and ground, operate the switch, and we're now in anti-flicker mode. So it takes a while to charge up. This is the only thing I have against anti-flicker mode, I think it's really nice to be able to switch between the two, so that if nothing much seems to be happening, normal mode will make things happen very much quicker. So we're in, as I say, anti-flicker mode, and you can see at the other end it's operating as it should. So I just wanted to show how rapidly the system was able to operate. There doesn't seem to be much latency problems with the RF link. It seems to be able to rattle along quite quickly. I don't actually send radio commands on consecutive main cycles, so if one is due on one main cycle and there happened to be a refresh on the previous cycle, I defer it for one. So that means that the remote load will never be on for fewer than 2 cycles at a time, which drains the energy bucket somewhat. So unless you've got a high power of load, it does slow the rate down a certain amount. Now this anti-flicker is a new algorithm. It's only got one threshold, whether you're in normal or anti-flicker, and the anti-flicker aspect is a timing constraint which prevents the system from switching over too frequently. It gives similar performance to the twin threshold system. It's not actually quite as good, but the big advantage it has is there's no need for any calibration at all. So I'll shortly be putting this online, and that'll be posted when all the bugs have been ironed out of it. But for now, the radio link seems to be working quite nicely. Just to put the switch back again, and when the bucket's back up to speed, there we are, rattling away at a fairly fast rate, and the radio seems to be well up to that. So more anon. Cheers for now.